Hello, friends. Welcome back to Great People Interview Series. Today we have with us Dr. Tony, who is also a founder of Niteon Group, should I say, because there are three verticals within the group, which also includes Niteon Capital, which is funding. Um, so, if you want to take inspiration from somebody comes from a background, studies well, and then gets into entrepreneurship and becomes super successful, well, that's Tony for you, Dr. Tony for you. Dr. Tony, welcome here.
Thank you so much for having me, Sakin. Thanks so much.
Well, just tell us a little bit about your journey. I know, as we were discussing, you're from a family of farmers, and apparently your grandfather has been one of the largest, Africa's largest exporter of cocoa from Nigeria to UK.
Yes. So interestingly, I grew up in that farming background. So I used to run around several plots of land of cocoa plantation. And so my grandfather used to produce cocoa and then he used to export to the US and the UK. And he's responsible for a lot of the um, chocolate brands that we know across the UK, across the US, who are very famous. But then, so that's like my background coming from that space. But eventually, I went to the UK to do my master's at Oxford, and during that period, I worked at Google for 2 years, and I recently just finished my PhD from the US, which is Eminent University in Colorado, which is in Denver. So yeah, I mean that's been my growth so far, both on the academic side and then on the family background side.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, tell us a little bit about Niton and what's the name. Where does it come from?
Okay, so interestingly, Niton comes from an initiative that we came up together. So basically, me and my co-founder decided that we're going to be one of the few companies that would be available for our customers come day, come night, whatever time zone they are, whatever region they are, because we know that sometimes companies are not active at certain time. So Niton comes from a very popular region in the UK, which is called Niteon, which is a region in Wales. So it comes from a region of people who work all night to get their products to their customers. So we Niton for our customers in the sense of night and on. And so what Niton is a first of all, we are a B2B marketplace. We started off as a marketplace helping to connect African manufacturers to international buyers. And we are currently the third largest in Nigeria and the fifth largest across Africa, meaning we make up a
Wow.
large portion. Meaning we make up a large portion of export to the US, the UK, the Middle East, and then the South Asian market. But with how large the solution became, and then we actually became one of Nigeria's government exclusive partners when it comes to export. We then decided to build a banking solution. So currently we have Nitron Capital, which is a bank for manufacturers. So we provide manufacturers with credits. If it's a um, Muslim manufacturer, so basically we do interest-free capital, which is providing capital for Islamic banking or Islamic manufacturers, and then we do interest based for non-Islamic providers, and then we do infrastructure. If the manufacturers need to build a plantation to increase production, we help them with that. And so that's what we're doing. We're currently Africa's first manufacturers bank, and that's exactly what we've done so far to really cover and really build the infrastructure for producers across the continent.
Wow, fantastic. So, um, what exactly you're trying to do with the digital platform that you're providing, and how are you ensuring what you call as the food security? Can you just explain, both the digital infrastructure and also this food security part?
Yeah, so I think let's look at some numbers. So in 2021, the international market lost over 23 billion in trade fraud trying to buy from Africa. That is a staggering number that was lost. That same year, African manufacturers lost over 37 billion in food waste. Now imagine over 37 billion in food that was supposed to be exported, but it was either lost during production or was lost during post-production. And so that became like a major call to how bad things are going for the world. And then even
Right.
at the UN or at the World Trade Organization, they stated that a lot of countries internationally are unable to produce as much as they used to produce. So there is a decline in production capacity across the entire world, and there is a prediction that in the next 30 years, the entire world would have a very depleted food production system, meaning people wouldn't be able to access food. Even if you have enough cash in your hand, you wouldn't be able to access food anymore. So that was a big call to action. So what we are trying to do is that we are trying to make sure that food security becomes a major priority, and then Africa plays its own part in making sure that there is food provision for the entire world. So we want to make sure that grain, powders, seedlings, the necessary products that are required across the entire world are produced properly. And then we can also back that up with commodity export as well. So our core focus or our impact solution as a company is to see that we basically provide food security for the entire world, making it a call to action to the importance for sustainable food production, and making it possible that anywhere you are in the world, being able to access organic food should be an important thing. We don't want to have a situation whereby there's a lot of inorganic food production in the system, but basically making sure that there is organic foods for everyone across the entire world and making sure
Very
that that's
nice.
possible.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. You're working towards a fantastic goal. And so, um, how has been your success in what you're trying to do? Of course, what you're trying to do is great, amazing goal, but are you facing any hurdles?
Okay, so interestingly, when we started the business, the problem was, as a new company, a lot of people are still skeptical about your success, your quality, authentication, and all that. So I mean, initially when we started, there was a lot of, oh, how do we trust this company? How do we make sure that the quality that they are providing to us are the best? So we faced some of
Yeah.
all those hurdles, but what we did was that we went to the African Union and then to the World Trade Organization, and then we acquired something they call the African Trade Center, which is a license that puts us as a major player in the African space. So that gave us a level of credibility for people to say,
Wow.
oh, for these companies or for these government institutions to back these guys, it means that they know what they are doing. So I mean, those were the hurdles we faced, and then expanding into new markets. So currently, we are in the US, we are in Colorado in the US, we are in London for the UK, and then we are in Qatar for the Middle East market, and then we are in Pakistan for the South Asian market. And these expansions were very tedious for us on the onset because we were like, how do we go into this market? How did this market trust us? So, but currently, one of our biggest success is that we are now a major supplier of commodity products to the Middle East. We're a major supplier of agriculture products to the US market, and we are an FDA partner, meaning that currently we are one of the 4 companies across Africa that has an FDA license to be able to export products without any limitation. So those are some of the biggest achievements. And yes, we were recently ranked among the top 50 agri-tech companies in the entire world. And this was because of people could see how much impact we were having in global food production. And I think over the last couple of years, we've created almost 7,000 new jobs, for businesses, across the manufacturing space, and then also for businesses on the buying side, making it easier for people to say, oh, we can access whatever products we want to access from Africa or minerals that we need to access from the continent. So yeah, so those are some of our biggest wins. And like I mentioned, we are currently the third largest in Nigeria when it comes to food export and food production. And I mean, those are some of the wins that we've had so far.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, last but one of the most important questions is, since you have seen the gaps and you have ventured into it, um, how do you see that the current food systems, and how technology can help them close, their problems and the gaps?
Okay, so one of the major problems that we've seen, and this is a global problem, is that when manufacturers or farmers are producing their food, they are not really aware of external factors like rain, like drought. They're not aware of other factors that may come into play.
Yeah,
They are not even aware of, yeah, like road networks or road issues, which is doing movement of the products. These are some of the
yeah,
problems that they are facing. Yeah, so I mean, with technology, you can use satellite image to make sure that the food you're producing, the soil is right. You can also use satellite image to make sure that the logistics, the route you're taking is the most effective. So there's usually the pre-production phase, which is okay, the seedlings that are being provided, how much of it is very effective, then the soil you're producing on. And then we've come to realize that those are some of the bottlenecks that businesses are facing, especially farming business. So for us to increase production, technology plays a very important role in managing or observing during production phase, during farming stage, during logistics, and making sure that it's more effective. And those farmers are planting with more information as to what they need to do. Even farmers are aware of what other farmers are planting, what is in demand, what isn't in demand, and all that. So for us, it's easy for them to understand that accessing capital it's an easy thing, and then being able to access market is now easier. So they are not limited to just the country where they are producing, but then they are also selling to continents outside of their region or countries outside of their place of origin.
absolutely. And that's so important for the businesses to succeed going forward. And I think your role in helping them is extremely vital, because you have had experience on both the sides. You have been a farmer yourself, and manufacturers you fully understand, and then obviously you understand the markets. So you are giving them that access to those markets, which is really useful in uplifting all these suppliers and manufacturers from Africa. Now, um, while we are talking about all these things that you're doing, your company is doing, can you just tell us a bit more about how do you make this happen? So, how many people do you have, and what they do, what you have to do in house, and what you have to depend on external entities or suppliers as far as the working of Niteon is concerned?
Yeah, so I mean, for us, when we started the marketplace, we had to rely on a lot of government agencies that already had manufacturers in a lot of numbers. So we didn't have to go and do social media ads to kind of attract the manufacturers. We went to government agencies that had a lot of manufacturers and then onboarded them. So we've currently worked with a lot of government agencies, especially agencies in Nigeria or across Africa, and even on the side of the US, the UK, we've worked with several government agencies that help to make sure that those imports are done at the right time or the right way. And then one other thing is that when it comes to the logistics, we have to trust our logistics partners to deliver the product on time or deliver it effectively. So those are some of the bottlenecks that we face. And then, so yeah, I mean, so working with partners that make things possible is how we basically achieve some of all those goals. So at the end of the day, it's government partnership, private partnerships, partnerships from banks, because being able to provide credit, we need like a banking partner to do that. and then working with, let's say, the the banks across the Saudi region, or banks across the Pakistan Indian region, banks across the UK, and banks across the US. So we've had to work with several banking partners and several logistics partners to make the entire business possible. So we haven't done it alone, and we are a team of 12 team members, but we also have a lot of partners that have played roles in our operations or in the success of our entire operations, from banking to logistics to every other aspect in terms of even regulatory and compliance.
Wow, fantastic. Well, you have a very inspirational story, and the journey has been fantastic. I think that's lots to learn for our audience, especially the audience from Africa, to probably um, jump on the opportunities you're creating for them. And well, we wish a good luck for the future generations um, from the perspective of food security. And thanks to you for
Yeah,
this work that you're carrying on. I think it's extremely important for sustaining the planet.
exactly, definitely.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for your time, Tony.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an amazing conversation, and I look forward to more. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you.